The waifus are back, and that means the Should You Summon is about to begin. ReZero has just returned on Grand Summoners Global. We talked about it a few times already on the channel, but this time around, we're going to be talking specifically about the banners that will be coming out with it and whether or not it's worth your coin or not. And this banner, they did us a solid, just like the last few rerun banners. The only units that are featured on said banners are ReZero specific characters. And what are those ReZero characters? Well, the ReZero characters are going to be Emilia, Rim, Ram, and Beatrice. We talked about these characters in my most recent videos. We went over their new buffs and everything, but I'll do a quick little rundown here of them for everybody who didn't watch that video. Emilia is going to be your queen in terms of sustaining and also nuking with water teams. Reason being, her art is able to give your entire team a burst art gauge and also gives you damage reduction. And then with the true art, if she's able to freeze an enemy, she applies a massive water resist down, and it also applies ultimate freeze, not just regular freeze, but ultimate freeze, meaning that all your attacks will crit on that enemy. Next is Rim. She's just a straight attacker. The more that she hits with the true art, the more damage she deals, but also she hurts herself more and more, which is kind of weird. One thing I note about Rim, if you do use her, she actually does have 100% crit rate in her kit, but it requires her to be above, I think, 50% HP. That's going to be quite difficult because she's constantly taking her own HP, and by the way, every time she stacks her damage, she's going to be stacking that HP drain on her. So the best way to handle Rim is, if you're using her, is use her alongside a crit buffer or an item that's able to give her 100% crit rate like True EX Gate, and then use her with like a character that's able to protect her, like for example Volti LR, Miranda, Thetis, you name it. Next is Ram, and Ram's probably one of the sleeper units from this crossover. I don't think a lot of people are going to be looking forward to this character too much. She's pretty much just more of a defensive character. Her art is able to reduce the damage from weak element enemies by 50%, and I think the way how this works, so I'm not mistaken, is that if you are an earth unit like how Ram is, and you fight a water unit, you're going to be taking even less damage if you have the art up. Or it could be reversed. It could be the one that you're actually weak to, you're going to be taking less damage from if you have the art up. I'm not for sure exactly because I haven't used Ram too much, so I don't know which one it actually is. It actually may be both, but I'm not for sure. And like I mentioned before, she does have a barrier that she's able to apply to the whole team. This barrier will also scale with however high her defense is, so the more defense you have, the more barrier you get. And last but not least, we have the one and only Beatrice. Beatrice is kind of the stats element debuffer. She has stuff in her kit that's able to reduce stats element resistances. She also has a true art, which is able to apply a dark and magic resist down on the enemy. The 45% stats element resist down is really nice. That means that you become more susceptible to every single stats element in the game. Freeze, poison, blind, whatever the case may be. So you could use something like Kurama's Whip on her and use her art, pop Kurama's Whip. It's pretty much a guaranteed proc at that point. Or if you want to use her alongside Emilia in like a water team for some reason, or if you need to use her alongside another character that relies on a certain stats element, you can use her for her art specifically. Or if you're doing nukes with a dark / magic team, you could use her for her true art and do the same thing kind of with that. And that's kind of it for the units. If you want to know which one is kind of like the queen from this one, I mean, they're all queens, let's be honest here, but who's the goddess? That's going to be Emilia. She can fill so many roles, whether you're nuking, whether you're sustaining, it doesn't really matter. Emilia is the queen. After that, everybody else is also just really strong though. Like Rim is an amazing attacker. Beatrice has some niche plays that she can make here and there, but extremely strong when you want to use her. And then Ram is, you know, just a defensive unit, but if you need a defensive unit, you could use her and make use of her gimmick, and she's going to keep your team alive majority of the time. Now, should you summon for this banner or should you skip? I know a lot of people have been asking this because we have a lot of stuff on the horizon in Grand Summoners Global. Stuff like Super Awakenings. We don't know when they're coming, but they're going to be coming sooner rather than later, more than likely. We have stuff like Fire or Veil, Light Sistina, the new Mizuki. So is it worth summoning on this ReZero banner, or we just skip and we go for those characters? And I think that's very subjective. I don't think there's necessarily a right or wrong answer here. I think that if you want to go for the ReZero characters because that was your favorite anime or whatever, absolutely go for it. If that's not you and you're looking at it from more of a meta perspective and you want to know if it's actually worth it or not, I think Emilia is a god tier pickup, but everyone else I don't think is necessarily required. And even then, I could see people arguing that Emilia isn't necessarily required in a lot of different situations. But to me, I would say that she's like top of the pack, S tier easily. However, if you're a newer player, you summon on this banner no matter what, man. Yeah, definitely if you're newer to the game, Emilia is going to be the best pickup for you as well, just because of the art gauge and the damage resist that she applies on the art. And then after that, it would probably be maybe one of the others. I mean, I don't think any of the other three are necessarily amazing for new players, but definitely Emilia is worth the summon. And then lastly, if you're somebody who maybe have seen ReZero come around a few times at this point, maybe you didn't have Emilia, maybe you didn't have any of these characters, and you're fine with not having these characters because you've not had them for so long anyway, then I think you could skip if you want to. Me, myself, I'm only doing ticket summons for this, and I'm not going to be summoning on the actual banner with my crystals because I already have the main units I want from this crossover. crossover. So that's another approach you could take if you want to. See what you get from all your ticket summons, because we're getting around 125 tickets, and then summon on the banner. Now, one thing I do want to mention before all you guys get out of here is going to be the Gacha Equip banner. Now, the Gacha Equip banner is always pretty solid in most crossovers, but in this crossover specifically, we are having some pretty good equips come out, especially some newer equips that you guys may not have seen before. For one, Emilia's Casual Dress. If you are a water nuker, or if you want to use water allies in your nuke teams, get this item. This thing gives you 3 arts over 10 seconds, but it also buffs up everybody's damage by 30% based on the number of water allies in the party. If you have 4 water allies, that's 120% damage up from one equip. This equip's going to be great in sustain, it's going to be great in nukes, and yeah, it's overall just an amazing item. Highly recommend you pick it up. Another item that I definitely want you guys to be on the lookout for is going to be the Rim and Ram plushie. This item is going to be able to give everyone on your team 20 art gauge, and it's also going to buff up attack and damage by 30% for 10 seconds. After that, there are some good like runner-up options here if you're into nuking or other stuff. Stuff like the Beatrice Crown, the Young Ram robes, Subaru's tracksuit, and maybe Beatrice's finery. But this one is a little bit up in the air because it only cures blind. There may be a boss at some point where you will only need to cure blind, but need to have other status elements afflicted onto you. But that's going to be it for this video, man. Thank you all for coming out. Tell me down below what you guys are going to be doing for the ReZero crossover. Are you guys summoning? Are you guys skipping? Are you guys really into this crossover? Are you guys kind of like, you know, this crossover is what it is. I'm ready for the new stuff to happen on global because it's been so dry. Let me know all that down below in the comments section. Also, if you enjoyed this video, I recommend check out either one of the videos popping up on the screen right now. Great content, guarantee you'll love them. Oh, and one more thing. Don't forget to drink water.